fair warning, major spoilers for Love is Blind Season 2 here, so do not watch this video if you don't want the whole season to be spoiled for you. Natalie Lee and Shayne Jansen had a staggeringly explosive final episode. The couple set their sights on engagement and were considered by every other couple to be the pairing with the most staying power. While they had their small spats in Mexico, which obviously they would as they get to know one another, the couple really seemed to get along. Then, the night before they were to be married, the couple had an explosive fight and some hurtful words were exchanged. Today we get into Natalie Lee, if she's still with Shayne, and where she is now. Today we're covering Love is Blind Season 2 contestant Natalie Lee. Tomorrow though, you decide. Let us know in the comments down below who you think we should cover in future episodes, and please don't forget to like this video for more content just like it. Let's get into it. There isn't a lot of background information on Natalie Lee and who she was as a person before her debut on reality television, but I'll give all the details that we do know. Living in Chicago, Illinois, Natalie is a consulting manager, which basically means that she bridges the gap between clients and management to make sure that changes are made within a company based on performance reviews given by customers. She's 29 years old as of now, and that's basically all we've got. Oh, and she also has irritable bowel syndrome, which she's told us a few times. During her run on Love is Blind Season 2, she and Shayne were easily the couple everyone had their eyes on, especially as it became more of a love triangle with Shaina in the mix. Having to choose between the two women, Shayne had a few blunders along the way before he finally chose Natalie over Shaina. He tells Shaina the reason he didn't choose her is because she didn't profess her love for him fast enough, and I guess Natalie felt more emotionally available. The two got along really well while on the pods, and in an Entertainment Tonight interview, Natalie revealed that the reason she felt so drawn to him was because, quote, "a lot of it was the assurance he gave me. From the very beginning he said it was going to be me, but it was also the loyalty he had to his family and his kind heart. Underneath all of him, he's such a kind person." While that quote is sweet on the outside, I do think that maybe we should consider why assurance was the first word she chose. A lot of people seem to think that their relationship is a little off, due in part to Natalie's avoidant attitude. While being avoidant isn't a bad thing, meaning that physical affection or sweet words aren't as important to you, it is an attachment style that directly conflicts with someone who requires that type of assurance in a relationship. And I think a lot of their issues as a couple was due to their weird miscommunications when it came specifically to reassurance. Shayne wanted reassurance with compliments and praise, while Natalie didn't gush about their relationship nor compliment him like Shayne wanted her to. The way that both individuals seem to communicate their love is so conflicting and is the subject of a large part of their fights as the season moves forward. So, I don't know, just kind of some food for thought. I also found it very interesting that she chose to lead why she initially liked Shayne with assurance when that ends up becoming their main conflict. Anyways, so the season starts to near the end with the sentiment of the couple, despite their rough patches, going forward with the marriage at the end of the season. And then in the finale episode, everything went to shit. The night before the wedding, although we as an audience are privy to it, Natalie and Shayne have a massive fight. As the episode airs, we hear Natalie state, quote, "I'm nervous, I'm stressed. Last night, Shayne and I got into a fight, it was a really bad one, and Shayne said some hurtful things to me." She then sobs while speaking about their fight, and it's really obvious how in distress she is about the whole thing. While they have had fights before, this one felt kind of different. Shayne was almost unwilling to talk about it. It was revealed by Natalie later that Shayne told her he hated her and that she was, quote, "the worst thing to happen to me," while also threatening not to get married. Those are some insanely powerful words, and while he stated that he still hopes they get married, it doesn't change the fact that Natalie and Shayne have some massive issues to work out, whether it's before or after a wedding. After the fight, Shayne apologized and the couple decided to move forward with their marriage and make that commitment to one another. Prepping for the wedding was very sweet, and I kinda love Natalie's dad so much. You can genuinely tell how much he cares for her and wants the best for his daughter. Honestly, although Natalie has issues displaying her affection for someone, you can tell that she's a loyal person. She has been stuck by Shayne even after he stumbled with Shaina. She stuck with him throughout all of those fights. Even after he told her he hated her, she still agreed to get married. But while I think Natalie is loyal, that doesn't mean that she's a doormat for people to walk all over. And so on the day of the wedding, after Shayne had said "I do," Natalie walked away from the wedding. She chose not to marry Shayne, and by leaving him at the altar, she chose herself and her own happiness over a marriage that ultimately was beginning with a lot of unresolved issues. In my opinion, she chose right. They needed more time as a couple before making the big decision, and reality television means that they can't offer that time to see if they truly do match with one another. Natalie also stated afterwards in an interview that she felt she made the right decision, especially after rewatching the show, that she felt she wanted more time. I also think that threatening to end a marriage during a fight could have been a serious final straw for Natalie. As someone who is so loyal, I can't imagine a relationship being threatened right before the wedding as a sign of anything good to come as time goes on. That's a major sign of inconsistency. Natalie even stated, quote, "Before our fight, I was 100% sure I was going to marry him. But saying that you hate someone, telling them you're the worst thing that's ever happened to them, those cannot be unintentionally said. I just got to the point where I just emotionally could not do it anymore." So there you go, loyalty doesn't mean being okay with putting up with such harsh words. Natalie understands her worth, and having those words hurled at you and then getting married the next day would have been a stupid decision on Natalie's part. So, wedding over. Shayne and Natalie ultimately decide not to get married, but does that mean that they can no longer be together? Not really. There's nothing really stopping them from dating just because they chose not to get married. It seems like based on both of their Instagrams and subsequent interviews, however, that Shayne and Natalie chose not to reunite or get back together. When speaking with Entertainment Tonight, Natalie described watching their relationship play out on TV as, quote, "really hard to see knowing the outcome of it." And yesterday, Shayne posted a heartfelt message to his own Instagram stating that he felt stronger learning from the mistakes he made while on the show. He didn't explicitly state anything about whether or not he and Natalie are dating at all, but that's probably super intentional given that there's still one more episode to go, the recap. In the recap is likely when they'll reveal if they're still dating, but my prediction is, don't get your hopes up. So now that Natalie and Shayne are no longer a thing, a lot of fans seem to think that maybe it's now time for Shayne to slide in with Shaina, the other woman in their love triangle. On our previous video about Shayne, a few commenters shared that same suspicion. One person stated, quote, "I wouldn't be surprised if Shayne is now dating Shaina. Good thing Natalie didn't marry him, he's a walking meme and an immature guy." So, are there any hints that Shayne has moved on to Shaina? Well, that rumor is pretty clearly answered in Shayne's Insta post. He stated, quote, "To put some rumors to rest, Shaina and I are cordial and have hung out in group gatherings with the cast, but we have never had nor will ever have a romantic relationship. I wish her all the best." I think this paragraph was to put cheating rumors to rest and solidify that the love triangle was over before the proceedings of the marriage. It was the right thing to do, although it does make it a bit sad knowing that reason why Shayne and Natalie can't work is due to their mismatched love languages and inability to properly communicate with one another. Another hint as to why I think they aren't together anymore is that Natalie is absolutely out there living her best life solo. Natalie's Instagram documents solo travel expeditions to sunny vacays with girlfriends. She went to Vietnam, to Hong Kong, all without Shayne. To me, that's a clear indication of someone moving on from heartbreak and attempting to find themselves again. In more recent posts, she seems to be back in Chicago where both she and Shayne live, but her former fiancé hasn't made any appearance on her Instagram outside of Love is Blind promotional posts. That was until about an hour ago when she replicated Shayne's sentiment of not regretting their relationship, even if it didn't have its fairy tale ending. Both parties seem to hold a lot of love and respect for one another, but sadly I think it just wasn't meant to be. So how do you feel about Shayne and Natalie's failed marriage? Do you think I'm right and that they aren't dating anymore, or are you still holding out hope that they're together? I guess those questions will finally be answered in the upcoming recap episode. Either way, let's get the debate going, so comment down below what you think. While you're down there, please subscribe to this channel for more content just like it. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Where Are They Now? I've been your host Sierra. See you guys next time.